All right, so let's just go with some formalities here. Welcome to the Kubernetes provider IBM Cloud meeting today on April 29, 2020. We didn't have a call last month, so we're having this call after a few weeks. My name is Sadeh Zala, and I'll be your host today. So before we start, just keep in mind that this is a public meeting, and we're gonna have this recording available on Kubernetes YouTube channel. So be considerate of what you speak out. I just put the agenda link in the chat. If you have any item, please add it there. It's more of an open discussion, any concern, any thoughts kind of things. And we lately had a good discussions on the SIG channel. I guess a couple folks reached out. Richard, you can tell more about that, but I know Richard and Arshad and a couple other folks from IKS team get engaged there. So we can talk about that a little bit. Richard, if you want to give little updates on the cloud provider discussions lately, anything you're seeing new? I know the meeting was canceled last once or twice, I think, this year so far. But I don't know if they had the last one. I had conflicts, so I didn't go in the last one.
Yeah, I didn't go to the last one either, and it's been kind of quiet on that front for this year so far. I know one of the biggest things impacting us that are being discussed is an improved or a consistent build process for cloud providers, building their cloud controller managers. So that'll impact all the cloud providers, and we'll want to participate in that when they get to a point where we're ready to proceed with that. Right now, they're just continuing with the extraction. Obviously, we're not in the code base, so extraction is not a concern for us right now, but the building will be when they get to that point. And that's targeted for later this year.
Okay. Okay, thanks for the brief. And I guess we don't, is there any update on our cloud provider, Richard? I guess we're still with our long-term goal, right?
Right. No updates on like the upstream open sourcing and going through that whole process. We have some internal dependencies that we have to work out. Those continue to be worked, and but we are making progress on the moving to the CCM. So we've done that already, and it's been working really well. So we'll just continue to work with the community to get ours ready to go once we're at that point where we can deliver it to the open source.
Gotcha. So it's internally it's CCM ready, sort of.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're using it in Red Hat OpenShift as well.
Okay. Yep. That's great. Thanks, Richard. Anything else from you? No.
Nope.
Nope.
Nothing else.
Can you brief out the Slack channel discussions lately, or? And we had a couple of folks reach out, right? I guess those are for the various things in IKS mainly.
Right, exactly. And I think some of these questions were cross-posted on our IBM channel, our IBM Slack. Yeah, these were good. And I usually you can always reach out to me.
Yep.
I can find the right person internally here to take a look and respond.
Yep. And I appreciate that. Thanks.
Yep.
Yeah, what kind of algorithm do you use there? Not round robin, I guess.
No.
Something more solid.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Thanks. Khalid, anything from you? You want to provide any update on MCM side, or?
Yeah, just kind of one thing. I think it was actually announced this week. We developed a bunch of code for multi-cluster, multi-cloud management in IBM. And earlier this year, we kind of made a decision to work with Red Hat to open source that code. So there is a open cluster management project that Red Hat has started, and they announced this Red Hat Advanced Cluster Manager for Kubernetes that they'll be bringing out based on the original core MCM code. The MCM has evolved into this overall cloud pack for multi-cloud management that has other capabilities. It incorporates the Red Hat Advanced cluster management capabilities. I think that's an interesting project that maybe we can look at getting more details on, maybe some, because it is kind of the open sourcing of the core MCM functionality. Right?
Gotcha. Thanks. And I think that's something we can.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Colin.
Yeah. They're open source some of the components. They'll be open sourcing other components over time. So we can kind of track that and see the kind of synergies with the Kubernetes. One of the things that they have is they bring in this cluster lifecycle capability through their, there's a Hive project that they started. So they're kind of leveraging that to bring in the cluster provisioning aspects and the cluster lifecycle management aspects into that.
Gotcha. Thanks. Yeah, that's something, guys. They got open source. I think if we can, engage the community there, right, through the SIG. I know there are a lot of other, non-IBMers, external people had asked about MCM in the past.
Yeah.
I had like discussion with folks from Microsoft, from Fidelity, and they were interested at one point. So, I guess something that we can spread the word, let the community know at the upcoming conferences, maybe.
Yes, I think we talk about that in the KubeCon Virtual Summit and so on.
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, and talking about the the next conference, seems like the KubeCon Europe will be all virtual.
Correct. I saw the notice about that today.
Yeah. I looked at one of the email from Nancy and I didn't get into detail, but I think we will be having a virtual session there.
Yeah. I think that's good. So we can plan on, putting some stuff about the open cluster management and other open source projects we're doing around Kubernetes.
Yep, absolutely. Cool. Thanks, Khalid. And welcome, Nimesh. Thanks for joining. Yeah, I think that was the couple topics. I mean, from the cloud provider side, from MCM. And it's more like an open discussions. If
one of the other things that, I mean, it's not directly related to Kubernetes, but one of the work that we're doing is around the Manage IQ project. I think we mentioned that before separately, right? So the Manage IQ open source project that was the basis of the Red Hat Cloud Forms is kind of the product is moving in as part of the IBM stack, but the project we're going to be looking at that and how we contribute more kind of Kubernetes enablement around that. It currently already has support for Kubernetes as a container management infrastructure. So we can talk about that as well in the future.
Hey, Khalid, I have a question. So there's the Cloud Pack for multi-cloud management, and then there's the new stuff that was announced, I guess, as part of the OpenShift cluster management. How do those two relate?
It's similar to like the Cloud Pack for multi-cloud management is a superset of it includes the OpenShift, right, as a kind of a deployment plane, and it includes the Red Hat Advanced Container Management capabilities, right, and Ansible and Terraform and Manage IQ Cloud Forms capability, and it kind of wraps all those up with toolings for day 2 operations and hybrid applications that support container and VM. So it's moving toward the model of helping people move from their traditional virtualized environments to a mixed container and virtual environment with support for hybrid applications and hybrid compliance. So you have compliance for the VMs as well as for the Kubernetes and container infrastructure, and a lot of monitoring capabilities for end-to-end management, event management, and those kinds of day two type of operations capabilities.
Okay, so it sounds like it's got a greater set of tools for managing.
Yeah, greater scope. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, it's more of an enterprise solution as opposed to Red Hat, which is kind of a broad based solution for containers and cloud native type of workloads.
Okay, cool.
Kind of leverage each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's pretty cool. Thanks. Any other discussions? Dennis, anything from you?
Oh, no, not really. I just thought I'd come in here. I got some help from from Richard just last week, and I thought, think of that. Maybe I should come to these a little bit more often to see what's going on. But I am curious about one thing. You did say that did you say the next KubeCon is in Europe somewhere? Because I know the one in November is going to be here in Boston, and I'm near Boston, and I plan to go if you guys are going to go. But the only weird thing about it is you said that it's going to be virtual. I don't know what that means. Is it easier?
Yeah. So no, the two things there, right? So the virtual one, so they had Europe one, KubeCon Europe was scheduled in March in Amsterdam. So that was, that they at one point they couldn't continue, so they pushed it to August this year.
Okay.
And that was, the push was for face-to-face conference, same place, Amsterdam. But now that, Netherlands actually said no for any big gatherings, and things doesn't look that promising by August. So that one is moved to virtual now. The Boston one, I think that's in December or late November, December, I think. But that one is still on
November
schedule.
17th.
November 17th. Okay, yeah. So that one is still, I think, on schedule for face-to-face. They haven't.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Yeah, I'm hoping to go to that one. That's only in like an hour-ish south of me, so there won't be any hotels, and I don't know if IBM will still pay for that, but it'd be good that if you guys are going, it'd be good to just kind of meet there.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm planning on going. I'm guessing Sadov's planning on going. I mean, it's a little hard to commit 100% given the current climate, but I'm going to be optimistic and say all will be well by then and move back to traveling.
That's the second wave, hopefully.
Yeah. But no, I think right. So if if it happens and if you all can go, right, if you feel comfortable going and go, then usually we always have a like SIG meet and greet kind of things, more face-to-face discussions. Then so yeah, that we can do more some face-to-face discussions. That's where some non-IBMers also sort of stop by and join the discussions, right? And also we have a couple sessions like introductory or deep dive kind of things. So I mean, yeah, we will have a place to meet, as a SIG or as a sub-project.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. We really had like I think one from SysDig is in Europe. He'd been to this meeting once, I think, Richard, if you remember, right? The last meeting we had. But he was really interested in meeting face-to-face. I think Benedetto is his name. I was just looking at the agenda. And he was so disappointed when the KubeCon got canceled, like, oh gosh. So, yep.
And just another note, I guess a positive thing is that I'm definitely me in my new job here, working on cloud stuff. We're definitely in the IKS business because we're using IKS quite often for many things. And I just want to say thanks definitely for the IKS support, because I go to the channels, I ask something and they're pretty responsive. And I'm thinking that if customers get that same that same response, I'm thinking, yeah, this must be pretty good. So that's definitely helpful to us.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's our goal, in both on our external channel, internal channel, and even in the SIG IBM cloud
I'm curious. What is your external channel for that? Is that something you can share on? or do people have to pay to get on that one?
Oh, no, it's just IBM Cloud 6. Actually, she changed the name. It's called IBMCloudSuccess.slack.com. And then you can get on the, it used to be just our Kubernetes service channel, but it's an external Slack. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, maybe I'll just peruse that sometime.
Yep.
But it's like probably a year and a half back, I was in the cube spray business because we were using that for a bunch of stuff that we were doing. So I was doing the same thing, going to their channel and asking questions on stuff like that, because you use open source, you're in that business. No matter what you think, if it is free or not, you're in that business, man. You're gonna pay, so you have to depend on those guys. And we're not depending on you guys, right, for IKS stuff. So it's nice to depend on somebody internal, that you could sort of talk shop about, but it's definitely responsive.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's pretty cool, having all this collaboration, and getting answers is the best thing, right?
Mm-hmm. I was curious if anybody has any more details on the Kube's release schedule changes. I know they've made changes for 119 that are, fairly significant, and plans for 120 to be the last release of the year, which means only 3 releases in a year. And that's quite a significant step forward towards and around long-term, or if you call it the LTS group, working group, and things that are being done there. Does anybody have more insight into if that's going to continue, or if this is just the current state of, the environment of the world as it is today with all the changes that have been happening?
Yeah, the only thing I heard definitively, and I heard this on the doc call last night, was the extension of 119 release. So what, an extra 3 or 4 weeks or something?
Yeah.
So I hadn't heard about the 120 after that, but I'd certainly heard about, extending the release for 119 and the impacts there. So it is interesting times. For
sure. Yeah, Jordan just posted on SIG Release channel, Jordan Liggett, about 120.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I mean, I look forward to the change, and I think many customers would. The feedback I get is that we and they move fast, almost too fast. Well, too fast, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Now, the other thing I heard, I think, was an increasing of, the serviceability length, right?
Yes.
Right, because I know for docs, we were like, doesn't bother us. We keep the docs for like the past 5 releases. So I think they increased it by 2 or something. We're like, we're fine.
Yes.
Now about everybody else might have some issues. But yeah, that was the other thing. I don't know if you had heard that they were increasing the serviceability or the support longer, more releases.
You know what I can't remember what was it, 2 releases back? Is it more than that then?
I think it's now going to be more than that.
Do we know yet?
What's that?
Yeah, I don't think the KEP has merged yet officially to state that yet. Okay. But they've kind of, in the KEP it implies, and you would see that actually in practice, that right now they have delivered 118. They're patching 118, 17, and 16, and technically they still will patch one more time on 15. So that's 4 releases, and they're just kind of proposing that they really should keep doing that to a little bit longer. Yeah.
Yeah, because it definitely helps people on the. I know in my previous thing, and even this current gig I have, it helps especially for the patching, for the to give us more time. So that because sometimes a doc release can be expensive in terms of you got to tweak your YAMLs and testing and all this other craziness. And I know it's supposed to work, supposed to be compatible, but you still have to test it out. So for the scheduling and stuff, especially patches, because security is coming down pretty hard I think on most everybody in the industry now. We can just get that little extra time to patch things. It definitely helps.
Right.
Good.
Yeah, and I think part of the challenge in that, I've tried to get the word out is that it's not just Kube, but it's everything that depends on Kube. And the apps getting on there, can they keep up with Kube? Generally, maybe not. And then Kube has an issue on the fact that they rely on Go, and they need to move fast to keep up with Go. So they're not running Kube 115 on a Go version that's not supported anyway. So they have
Yeah.
to patch Go fixes back, which makes it kind of ugly. So there's a lot of ecosystem around this that needs to move.
Okay. That's true.
Yep, the dependencies.
Yes.
Yep.
But anyway, I think it would be it's a good move. And I'm not sure, like you said, Brad. I mean, Docs is good. I think a lot of folks are good. Testing, I think, and then maintaining those releases, that was a challenge. And I don't know if that's going to impact Kubernetes conformance, if they're going to extend the life of that any further. I haven't heard anything, but maybe they will.
Yeah, good question. Might want to have Srini follow up on that one, Sadov.
Yeah, yeah.
Could, go talk to Srini and see if that's getting impacted since he's on the conformance work group.
Sure. Yeah, no, I will do that. I'll follow the team.
Cool.
Yep. Yeah.
Good question.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Yep. What else? Good discussion so far.
If the floor is open, and just some random question about Kubernetes that I just kind of been contemplating, with the experience here, I'm just curious if I can just throw it out. Let's say, and I know that if I look at some of the specs on the various Kubernetes versions, they say they support up to this many nodes. And I think this many nodes can be like, I don't know, 100, maybe 1,000 nodes or something like that. If we ever get to a situation that, let's say they support 5,000, I don't know if that's the number. But what is your guys' feeling of if I'm making a Kubernetes cluster and I need to do some super scaling massive application and I go up to, let's say, 3,000, I start at 1,000 nodes and I keep adding and adding it, and I get up to, let's say, 3,000. Are those numbers just, oh, it's 3,000, whatever, who cares? Or is it 3,000? Are people raising their eyebrows going, you guys better start thinking about doing something else? Do you know what I mean? Is there any sentiment towards large, super large clusters like that? Is it like, don't do that yet? It's not proven out?
What I heard, and again, I didn't do it by myself running something that big, but so I mean, it depends the cluster, right? Are you using through managed services or yourself, or I think we did a study sometime back with IBMCloud Private, for example, right?
Okay.
And it was like, hey, we have ICP, we tested it for like 1,000 nodes, and then I think at one point we did for like 2,000 nodes, and then we said, that's it. Don't go further. If you want to, make it even bigger, like we said, 3,000 nodes, instead of making that cluster bigger, go for multi-cluster. So I think there, depending on what you're using, there should be some recommendations, right? Kubernetes itself, I think they said up to 5,000 nodes. There has been, those kind of studies, benchmarks has been done, right? That it should be okay. Then it starts, running into issues, right? And the performance, right? So I mean, I guess it depends on, a couple, 3 different things, right? But at one point, I think, yeah, multi-cluster is better than having one large.
Okay. So that was the next step is what I'm going at. Let's say we got to this 5,000 and we start reading the research. And let's say for some reason somebody comes up and says 5,000 is getting right on the edge. And we're like, okay, because one day I want to go to 10,000. So what is the way to like, and I have an application running critical, stuff or whatever. It's super scaled, right? How do I convert, or is there a way today that people use to convert very large clusters into a multi-cluster type system? And I think you're referring to like federations, right?
Yeah, I think the KubeFed project is one approach. And
what is it called?
Kube Federation, KubeFed.
Okay, but how do you convert?
Around for a little while. I'm not sure. Like, I haven't tracked the community lately, but I haven't seen how it's evolving. But it does allow the federation of clusters and the ability to deploy workloads across clusters. When we did the multi-cloud management, which is another kind of way of managing multiple Kubernetes clusters, we took some of the capabilities from Kube Federation. They have their cluster registry and so on. But we had a different model in terms of distributing out the workload. They kind of use a push model, and we had a pull model we thought was a little bit more efficient. But that is something that, you know, we can discuss in the community about different use cases for both models, and, you know, which one works better. And as I mentioned earlier on, some of that core MCM work is being pushed out into the open source community through the Red Hat angle as well.
So speaking of manage Kubernetes, and I'm growing to this now that, you know, we're using ITS. I'm like, I like this manage idea, man. Me standing up my own Kubernetes I'm done with that, which is great. So has ITS gotten to a point where it can support 1,000 type node clusters?
Yes, I mean, well, it depends on what you're doing. So we like on our infrastructure side, we're not making such big clusters. We're sharding, so we have multiple clusters, right?
Okay.
And then if you look at some of our users doing hundreds of nodes, I think some of the Watson clusters get up over 500-600 nodes, but nobody's getting up to 2,000 because they think you start pushing the limits on certain things. So nodes is one. There's endpoints and services. How many of those do you have? How many pods do you actually have? What is the scale of the applications you're running on the nodes? And then when it comes to networking, for example, for Calico, it needs a set of route reflectors to help improve performance. So there's all these different things that start to build.
Okay.
Our performance team does analysis on that front, but I would suspect we have a doc. I think in general we would advise folks to stay under 500 nodes for now, and then you can run a lot of workloads, a lot of services, a lot of endpoints. You hit the API pretty hard, and you should do fine.
Yeah, I'm just thinking for massively scalable applications for all this crazy machine learning and stuff like that. How high can you scale this Kubernetes? And you just hit one that tells me that if you go to if you hit a large enough number, you might need to switch your Calico to use route reflectors, which means you might have to tweak Calico underneath, which I don't know if that means a downtime or if there's certain procedures Calico team knows how to do to switch that over. So
yeah, I mean, certainly you could reach out to us if you guys are interested in going that big, because there's work going on with Tigera to discuss scaling Calico beyond its current state.
That's good to know.
I mean, if you're running AI applications and so on, you probably need more capabilities around how you schedule and manage those pods and that kind of environment. So, you know, additional points in the Kubernetes stack might get stressed when you're running certain kinds of workloads, right? Things that are coming and going, a lot of interactive workloads. If you're using, you know, Jupyter Hub and people are running, building models, etc. That's another kind of dynamic type of thing that may lead to performance degradations and so on.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for talking about that.
No problem. Thank you. Those great discussions. I see somebody new joined, Jailton, I'm not wrong. Hello. If you wanna just introduce yourself. If not, that's
hello. My name is Jailton. I'm working on IBM Brazil. And I recently, and our team is recently using Kubernetes, and I started, and I want to join the Slack and work on some issues. And
okay. Well, that was great. Jilton, it's good to know and welcome. I'm glad you joined the call. You know, we guys meet every month, and there's a Slack channel and, you know, mailing list and other things around this sub project. So, you know, feel free to reach out to anybody in the group. You know, feel free to ask questions, right, around how IBM Cloud leverages Kubernetes and other CNCF projects, etc. And, you know, it's great to have you in this meeting. Did you have any?
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, any specific interests, questions come up? Like I say, feel free to ask.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. All right. So any other topic? Anything else? Well, if not, I guess it was good discussions. We can call this as a meeting. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. It's good crowd today. And that's it, I guess.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you,
Stay
guys.
safe. Yeah, everyone. Take
Very
care.
soon. Take care.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Yep. Bye.